Canada and the other G7 nations are taking new emergency action on the wildfires in the Amazon rainforest. That is a major development on this last day of the G7 summit. CBC's David Cochran is on the story live from Biarritz, France. And David, what's the G7 planning to do?
Yeah, hey, Suhanna. Well, we got an announcement today from the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, that at least initially $20 million is going to be set aside to help do immediate relief for those wildfires that are raging in the Amazon. It's been one of the signature issues for discussion here at this summit. Climate change has been on the agenda, and there's been almost a crisis atmosphere around those talks as the world's lungs, as the Amazon rainforest is called, has been burning. Now, this $20 million amount is not a lot when you look at the wealth of the G7 countries who are gathered here in Biarritz, France, but we're told that this is really just a starting point. Other countries are also reaching out directly to Brazil to see what they can offer in addition to cash. Canada, for example, we're told, had Chrystia Freeland call the Brazilian government to see what assistance Canada could offer. And in addition to the possibility of money, for example, they have expertise and workers, firefighters, with experience in fighting wildfires in Western Canada. So potentially there could be a human resources deployment to Brazil should they ask for it to help them deal with this. There's been some movement on a couple of other issues. While climate change was on the agenda, and we know that they were not going to get the Americans on side with that, biodiversity was also on the agenda. This is an issue pushed directly by Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, and they have an agreement to work on a biodiversity charter to find ways to deal with things such as species extinction. No details on that, but a commitment to move forward on it. And so, Hannah, one other pressing point has apparently been resolved. France wants to tax big tech companies like the American giants Google, Amazon, and Facebook, who avoid paying taxes in international jurisdictions where they work. This set off another trade threat from the U.S. President Donald Trump, saying, if you tax my companies, I'm going to slap a tariff on your wine. Well, there are reports that a deal got worked out by the French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire and the Treasury Secretary of the United States, Stephen Mnuchin, last night. Trump is apparently satisfied with this, so French wine in the United States looks like it's safe, at least for now.
David, you've been there throughout the summit. What else stands out for you?
I think what stands out, Suhanna, is just what's going to happen next with the G7. I mean, coming into this summit, normally in the 45-year history of the organization, there has been a communique issued at the end, mostly unanimous, where the G7 come together with shared goals and aspirations and commitments. That's not going to happen at this one, largely because the other countries know they can't get the United States on side on a lot of key issues such as climate change and even trade, as a lot of the economic uncertainty that the world is dealing with right now is being caused by the trade wars started by the President of the United States. So France chairs the presidency this year, much like Canada did last year with the G7. Next year, the Americans take over. Donald Trump is going to be hosting it. He said today that he's likely going to host the G7 in Miami, almost certainly at the Trump Doral Golf Resort, which he owns and is struggling financially. He's going to bring this large and expensive and lucrative conference to his own property. But the agenda items will change drastically. Canada had a progressive agenda with a focus on things like gender equality, income equality, and climate change. France picked up on those themes and helped move it forward. Those are not issues that the American president is extremely interested in. In fact, they complained about the agenda here. Anonymous U.S. sources saying to the American newspapers and media that are traveling with them, but these are niche issues and a bit of a waste of time for the U.S. president. So where this organization goes next, normally, Suhanna, they sit around a table to try to solve the world's big challenges. One of the world's big challenges is sitting at the table.
Right. That's a good way of putting it. Thanks for the update, David. CBC's David Cochran. He is at the G7 summit in Biarritz, France.